Hey, Ron. Landon Collins looked like he was doing pretty much everything else the other DBs were. What was key in his recovery? I mean, he only tore that Achilles back in October. What allowed him to get to this point?
Well, I think he worked at it. He worked very well, very hard. He did things that he needed to, and it's good to see him back out on the football field. He came in great shape, so he's ready to roll, and we're excited about the competition we're having.
You see him fitting into that group and that safety group overall. It feels like you have a lot of depth pieces there, a lot of options.
We do. We have a lot of options, a lot of good pieces, and as I said, it's exciting to watch. It's going to be a good competition. Landon's done a lot of good things in the past for this football team. We'll see how he continues to grow and get better.
Ron, Curtis Samuel starts on the PUP list. What was the decision behind that? I mean, obviously didn't pass, but where is kind of he at physically right now?
Well, he had a groin injury obviously in camp and in mini camp, and so we're just bringing him along. We wanted to make sure he's fine, and we'll go from there.
Him not being on the field means more reps for other players. Also, maybe you can't quite see how the offense will look with Samuel out there. What's the sort of give and take of?
But we have a background with Curtis, so we're familiar with the thing that he's done, and we know what to expect from him. The big thing will be how he interacts with his teammates around him on the field. That's the thing that you're trying to create right now by having reps outside.
Hi, Ron. I know yesterday you talked a little bit about the stability that Logan Thomas and Jonathan Allen's deals kind of bring. What does it mean for them, like looking long term, to kind of have that stability?
I think that the thing, and hopefully the other players, their teammates see that, we're serious about wanting to keep guys that do things the right way, guys that fit what we do and how we do it. And we want to try and keep as many of our own as possible. Drafting Jonathan where we did, you don't want to see a guy like that move on, especially if he fits, he's the right timer guy. And we got a lot of guys like that we want to try and figure out how we can keep them around.
Hey, Ron, going back to that safety competition that you mentioned, do you see that as they're competing at one spot, or do you kind of see both of those spots as open? And I kind of wonder how you see that playing out.
I see a good competition for the spots. I think I don't know if you noticed, but we rotated a lot of guys in back there, especially with the first bunch. So we'll continue to do that, and I'm going to rely on the coaches and their opinion on what they see and how they think things are unfolding. And the nice thing is we will be able to play preseason games this year. We will be able to get a feel for what our best options are going forward.
It's unfortunate that Cornelius Lucas starts the year on the COVID list. I wonder, is there a timetable that he could be back? And also, while he's out, what does that give you the chance to evaluate Sam Cosmi at right tackle for?
Well, Cornelius being out does give us an opportunity to evaluate Sam. It gives us an opportunity to evaluate a couple other guys. Sadiq is another young man we're going to move over there and give reps to, which we have already. So it's an opportunity for guys to get reps is what it's creating, and for them to show us what they're capable of. And then when based on the rules and all that, we get Cornelius back, we'll start getting him back into the mix as well.
Hey, Ron, when you're looking at the safety competition, to see how guys work together, what are some of the little things that you're going to look for to see how maybe a group separates itself from another group?
Consistency of play will be one of them, and not just their play, but how the rest of the guys around them play. One thing that's really important that these guys got to be able to do is communicate. They're kind of like air traffic controllers, and making checks and calls and making sure that the other DBs hear the calls and the linebackers hear the checks. That type of stuff. It's about the communication. So it'll be about the consistency of the play, of not just them, but when they're on the field, the guys around them.
And then with Jamin Davis, you seem to like how he was handling the calls and all that in the spring. How does it change now? Are there more things you're going to test him with in that area? How does it change now for him in terms of calling plays and handling that position?
Well, the only difference really as we continue to progress, things will start to ramp up more so than anything else. And then you'll really get a chance to see, because as things ramp up, you start getting into the preseason games, there's some consequences. Right now there's not a lot of consequences out there, and guys tend to play a little bit better when they don't have to worry about consequences. Now all of a sudden you throw the consequences of games and giving up plays or making plays, it changes some people. And so as we progress through this, the real test will be when we get onto the field playing.
Hey, Ron, with Logan and Jonathan, just how do you want to maintain your culture here? How does keeping those guys help you do that as you go into year two?
Well, I think, again, it's what it tells the other players, tells the other guys. We're trying to find ways to keep as many of our guys around, guys that we believe fit us, that are the right type of guys that fit into the culture that we're trying to create. I think that's important for those guys to understand. We've got solid young men, guys that are solid on the football field, solid in the locker room, and solid in the community, and that's important to us.
And you mentioned earlier on the radio about kind of maturity concerns a little bit. Just
Football team. You know, I want to make sure that we understand that you just don't show up and pick up where you left off. I want to make sure we understand that we got to work our way back to where we were last season, and to be able to play to that ability. That's when I talk about maturity. That's what I'm talking about is understanding how to handle success and how to continue to work to create more success. That's what I talk about when I say maturity. I was happy about it. I really was. There were some things, some little detail things that one of the things that when I circled up the unit, the team out there, I talked about it. Some of the little details that we didn't pay attention to. I had explained it to some of the young guys in particular so they understand it. There's a specific way that we practice. We try to mimic as close as we can to game situations, but you can never really do. But if you can get it close to it by harping on tempo, harping on playing fast, trying to put stress on them so that they learn how to handle and cope with that, that helps. So to me, it's about making sure we're getting the right message across to the guys in terms of how we practice.
You mentioned retention being a big thing for you. Did any players really stand out with what they were able to recall from the spring and their knowledge of the playbook coming in?
Jamin stood out right away. And again, he's one of the guys that we're counting on to be able to handle these situations, circumstances. It was good to see. It really was. A number of the young guys really did a nice job. That's one of the groups you always worry about, the new guys that come in. I really thought we had a lot of good retention. It's one of those things that when you see the guys knowing where to line up, knowing when the motions happen, or listening and hearing the defensive checks and slides by the defensive line, then you know that those things are becoming second nature. And that's important because that tells you that we're taking the next step.
And I know it's day one, no pads yet, but what are your early impressions of Jarrett Patterson out there?
Of who?
Jarrett Patterson, running back.
I thought he made a really nice cut. We handed the ball up inside. We ran an inside zone, and he was able to work his way back to the backside. He's a little dynamic guy that plays bigger, I think, and I'm excited to see when we do put the pads on to see how that translates. But he's done a really nice job. He's been solid. He's a young man that I talk about in terms of retention. When he was in there, you didn't see any mistakes. You didn't see the quarterback having to get him lined up, and he understood when it was time to shift in motion. So he's doing a solid job for us.
Hey Ron, I saw Cameron Curl out there playing with Landon Collins. I wanted to ask, really, what did you guys see from him, or make you guys think that he might be able to play the free safety spot? And also, I think I saw him playing Buffalo nickel at one point. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sorry, I talked softly. I said, I believe I saw Cameron Curl playing Buffalo nickel, and also I was curious about the free safety spot. What did you guys see from him to make you guys feel comfortable back there? What do you guys think he could do in that position? Just like what do you think of him today?
No, the interesting thing about Cameron is he's got great range. He really does. For a tall, long guy, he's got great range. With that length, it creates even more range. He's got a good nose for the ball, so it shows you he has some of that free safety skill set. That's why we rotated him in there with Colin a couple of times, because there's some things that are intriguing. We brought him down and used him as a Buffalo nickel. Remember, that's what he was playing last year. He was a big part of that for us. And with that combination of safeties, throwing McClain in the mix, those three guys give you some guys that have some skill sets, some abilities. Bobby Briggs he's a center fielder, he's a ball hawk. He was on the defense last year that led the league in takeaways, and he was a part of that. Landon's a physical guy that can get downhill, and on the opposite side, you put Cameron in a position that he played last year for us to play as well. Really what you have is you have two Buffaloes. Okay, when you have Cameron and Landon on the field at the same time. There are some things that Jack's going to be able to do with the defense, some things in terms of personnel groups and matchups. I think our guys give us options that can be exciting. So I'm excited about that group of safeties we have right now.
And then this is asking about just two different rookies, but I saw Benjamin St. Jude's playing outside, which then moved Kendall Fuller into some of the slot position. I know you've talked about versatility being one of the things that you guys look for, being able to move guys around. How do you guys think he performed in the spring practices to kind of give you the impression he could move out there and kind of kick Kendall back into the slot? And then also Samuel Cosme, who was starting at right tackle. What did you think of his day today?
Okay. Well, I think Ben is a guy that's got tremendous skill set. He's long. He reminds me a little bit of Charles Tillman. I was able to coach him back in the day, and I thought, Charles was the kind of guy that, that as he grew more and more in the defense, you could see his skill set start to shine, and that's what you see with Ben. When you look at Cosme, you see a stout physical player who's already gets it. He understands how to practice. There are some little details that when I talked about young guys having learned, he's one of those guys. But his skill set tells you he can play the right side, but he also know he can play the left, and he can go inside and play guard. So there's some position flex with him, but he's got a chance. He really does. He's got a chance to fight for a starting position.
Hey there, Ron. The fans obviously back this year, which is a great thing to have, and we saw a lot of the players interacting with them from afar. What did you notice about the energy that they bring out there for these guys?
It's really cool. It really was. I mean, I love the fact that they're back out there. They're a knowledgeable bunch. They knew when to cheer. And that's usually when the offense does something, and so the defensive guys get excited because they're cheering for the offense, and that you can tell that creates a little energy, and you can hear it, you can feel it. It's something special. It really is, and we really did miss our fans down the stretch last year. It would have been good to have them, as we got into the playoffs. That would have been cool, but it's nice. I like what we have around here. I thought the field was really good. So a lot of positive things about being here in Richmond.
I know that you obviously have a military background. How important was it for these guys to be able to come out this morning and be out here and be recognized?
It's very important because, again, these are folks that commit and sacrifice to us, and they should know that we most certainly do truly appreciate them, and it was good that we were able to do something for them.
All right, thanks everybody.
That's it. Cool. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Ron. That was a very nice reception for the media.
No problem.
What's the next step here in your progression as a player? I mean, year one, you break out. Year two, you're more consistent week in, week out. What about year three? What are you looking to do?
I was telling a couple of my teammates, you got to come back with a new year mentality. I've been fortunate enough to have success my first 2 years, but I got to come out with a new year. I got something to prove mentality. That's how I've always been. That's why I feel like I've been able to progress like I have. And, I put in a lot of off-season work on my body, making sure my ankles can withstand this 17-game season, along with the rest of my body. My nutrition's good. I've been really working hard on my releases and my at-the-line work so I could get cleaner releases against these great DBs in the league. And I just think the next step is continue improving and being a lot more consistent, trying to be more of a deep ball threat down the field so I can help stretch the offense more. With Fitz, that'll really help a lot too. And I'm looking forward to what we got going this year, and I'm looking forward to the challenge of being the number one guy again, but I also can't wait to help bring our group along, so it's not just me, it's a all of us thing.
For you to become that deep ball threat, what is the biggest key in that regard?
I think it's just the reps in practice that we have to continue to work on. I think we saw today where a couple of the balls gone up, and we just got to connect on those so we could continue to build that chemistry with the quarterbacks. It's not just me. We got a lot of guys that can really stretch the field. But you got to be able to connect on them in practice so the coaches feel comfortable enough to throw them in the games. And, that's what opens up everything else. When you could get the teams to respect that deep ball, then they back up a little bit, then it opens up the underneath stuff. The run game gets a little easier because they may be light in the box. So, when you can hit big plays and create explosive plays in this game, it really helps your offense as a whole.
Can I ask you the vaccination question? I know that's a big topic right now. Do you mind sharing about your status, and also what are the conversations like within the team about the topic right now?
Yeah, I'm vaccinated. I think we all come to a point where our team's done a good job of bringing in all the experts that they have, and I feel like Coach Rivera respects everybody's decision to choose and things like that. Obviously, we know how he feels about it, but I think it just comes down to everybody's personal choice. But at the end of the day, as a leader, I just want to do what's best for our team and just hope it doesn't, affect us down the line. But I do respect each and every one of my teammates' decision to choose what they decide vaccinations-wise.
Hey, Terry, we can all kind of guess what it means to have Curtis Samuel here with you, just in terms of helping perhaps open the field. But from your perspective, what does it mean to have a guy like that on the other side or wherever he's going to line up?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool to have a guy that you're so familiar with, but best friends off the field. I mean, I think that helps our chemistry. We're both guys that want to do whatever it takes to help win and help our team offensively as leaders. And I think we push each other. I think guys on the rest of our receiver group feels that. And it'll be good to have him back out there with us and really get a feel of what it's going to look like during the season. But I'm happy to have him here, a guy who's so dynamic, could do a lot of the things with the ball. What's really cool to see is, I haven't really been able to get to see him, obviously, because we've been on different teams, but he's developed so much as a receiver, running his routes in his hands. He's improved so much before even getting here, so you can tell he's been putting in a lot of work, and I'm excited to see what he does when he gets back and build that chemistry with this offense as a collective group.
And with regards to Fitzpatrick, the idea that he likes to go up the field, I would also think that's something that should benefit you. A lot of underneath throws last year. I guess just from that perspective, how exciting for you is it to have a quarterback who is looking to go up the field versus kind of where things were last year?
I mean, I think it's very exciting. Each quarterback has their things to, that they're good at or they're comfortable with. But I think with Fitz, I think one of the best things is he's confident in his guys around him. He really does a good job of empowering us and also putting us in good situations to be successful. If there's a look up at the line that may not be, good for the play that we're trying to run, he knows how to get us in the right play and get the receivers into the best route possible for that type of leverage and things like that. And then just his ability to just, give us opportunities down the field. But it's not just enough to get the opportunities. We got to come down with them, and that's where we come in. That's where, the rest of the receivers come in. It's not just me. It's not just Curtis. We got a lot of guys fighting for positions that are really going to help us this year. And if the more all of us can help, the better it is for our offense, the better it is for me, the better it is for the whole team. So I'm really excited what he brings to the table. It's been really nice actually getting the springtime with him in OTAs because we got the opportunity to kind of work out some kinks, and now we're starting to fine-tune things, and I'm happy with the first day that we had today.
Hey Terry, hope everything has been going well with you. I saw you and Curtis talking, sort of walking towards like the last drill. One, you kind of mentioned that when you and Curtis talk, you guys go over like different things he sees, other things like that. Just one, what is it like having him, some of the things that maybe he's noticed, like running through practice, being on the sideline right now, and just like and how does that information certainly help you in terms of like what you may do next rep and things of that nature? Having us No, I'm talking about Curtis Samuel. I saw you and Curtis Samuel walking with each other, and you said that you guys, he'll come over and say like, hey, did you see this thing, whatever. Just what's that conversation like, and certainly how does that help your game improve?
I mean, it helps a lot because a lot of our concepts that we run are you're very dependent on other guys, and you have to trust that the other guy's going to do his job. And I think he does a good job of studying his plays. And I know when he was living with me a little bit during OTAs that we would study together and go through the script. And what's nice is he's familiar with this offense and this scheme, so he's coming in and he's hit the ground running. So when you got two guys who can stretch the field, who could do a lot of things, it kind of keeps the defense on their toes. We could both, take the ball out the backfield. We could go short, go long, but I think we just got to continue to improve. Just because we play together and we have the ability doesn't guarantee us anything. We know we got to put the work in and build that trust with the quarterbacks and build the trust that Coach Turner could call those plays come Sunday.
And the last thing, piggybacking off of Ben's question, you said that you've learned something, that he's developed since the last time you've seen him. What do you feel like how his game has changed since, he was in Carolina? What has he grown and what has he done differently?
I mean, I think Curtis does he has a good feel for how to play receiver. I mean, when he feels zone, he just doesn't continue to run through zones. He feels the soft spots in the zone. He knows how to track a deep ball to keep the DB on the inside versus letting him get inside and get his arm on the ball. So he's a very smart football player, and just his precision on his route running is very nice. Especially, coming from Ohio State, he was really a guy who could do it all, but, his routes were something that he was continuing to work on because he started as a running back. A lot of people don't know that, but to see the way he puts in his work, to see the way he's improved on his route running and just the intricacies to play the receiver position at this high level, it's really cool to see, and I'm excited what he's going to do for us.
Terry, I know everyone respects everybody else's decisions, but how do you balance individual choice with 53 guys having to sacrifice for one another to have an opportunity to win, especially late in the season? If something happens and the guy can't play because he tests positive, how do you balance that?
I think we have to always be conscious of that. We know the rules. They've clearly stated those in our meetings so far, and we know that could come into play. And you hope that whatever decision guys choose to make, it's in the best interest of not only themselves but as our team collectively. Because we have big goals this year, and we're not excited about just making the playoffs, but we want to get there and make some noise. But I think that just starts with how we care about each other and understanding what's best for yourself, but also everyone, because we have really big goals. So like I said earlier, I do respect everybody's decision to choose, and I think also other guys understand vaccinated or unvaccinated, what the ramifications could be. So I think that's just it's something that's going to be in the front of everybody's mind, and we got to take it a day by day, step by step. But I think we're doing a good job of keeping each other safe. Our team is doing a good job of keeping things balanced and the distancing and everything like that. So that's a great start. But obviously we know how long the season can be, and we just can't let up at all.
Going back to the Ryan Fitzpatrick, you said he empowers you guys.
Yeah.
How does he do that, and what does that mean for you?
Yeah, I think it's just his confidence. He doesn't really say too much. He's not a big rah-rah guy, but when you make a big play, you feel it. You feel his ability to get you in the right play and know he's going to come to you. So, when he's telling you to do something, it's for a specific reason, and then since I've been out here, it works. So I think that comes with his experience. I think that comes with the situations he's been in, big games and so many different offenses. He's thrown to a lot of great receivers. And as a guy like myself, I just want to be a guy that he can trust, a guy that he can make that adjustment. He knows Terry's going to be there, Curtis is going to be there, Cam, Deion, whoever is out there, he could trust that we're there. And I think he does that by the way he just gives us opportunities. As a receiver, you just want a chance. And a guy who's smart, who has confidence in his guys, I think that kind of just matriculates down throughout the offense. And you got a lot of confidence through everybody, from the linemen to the skill players through the quarterback. And that's when you're playing fun football, when everybody's confident and your quarterback is the leader, and he empowers everyone. Yeah, I'm trying to dictate more. Being a fast guy, you could kind of be in a rush sometimes, but, now there's a lot of film out on me. You kind of got to switch up your releases a little bit. You got to do some things different. You got to, play with your splits a little bit. You got to just be more dictate. You can't react to the DB as much, and sometimes you could do so much thinking at the line that you're not only slowing down yourself, but you're slowing down the process of the play. So our offense is very precise, where you got to be where you need to be, and I feel like I've done a good job of that, but I think I could do an even better job of getting off cleaner because of my speed. I think if I can dictate better at the line, then I can have DBs react to me more and be better at the top of my routes and in my routes and getting down the field. So I'm really excited. I've definitely been working really hard out there to put some great things out on film, and I'm excited to continue to progress.
Hey, Terry. Ron was saying that he was beyond frustrated with the vaccination yesterday, in part because he's immune deficient. I guess, are you surprised that, given his cancer diagnosis, that more guys haven't gotten vaccinated because of what he's gone through as well?
I think Coach Rivera, he's done a great job of really trying to come and understand where guys are coming from. I think we all understand the position that he was in last year and the position he's still in, and we have to be mindful of that. We never want to put anybody in jeopardy, especially him coming off of the cancer that he was coming from. So I think we're all very empathetic with that, and I think he does a good job of trying to understand where guys are at, whether you're vaccinated or unvaccinated. But like I said, I think it's just a collective thing where guys have to make their own decision, but also be mindful of how it can impact our team. And I think that's where it starts. And if you choose not to be vaccinated, then you have to follow the protocols and do what's necessary. And I think the guys are doing a good job of doing that. And we just got to continue to gain more information. The guys who may not be vaccinated or unsure, we got to try to help get them information and help their decision any way that's possible. Go ahead.
Okay. Just one. Were you able to get any throwing time with Ryan Fitzpatrick in the spring? And as a receiver, do you know pretty early on if you're going to have a good connection with the quarterback?
Yeah, I think you do. I think, like I said, spring really helped. Not having that last year, I think I was okay doing that. Having the quarterbacks that we had last year, you get on the same page as camp goes along, but that springtime puts valuable reps in the bank that help come out here, and things are familiar. You continue to see those plays, and it's like, oh, I remember that. Oh, I remember that little adjustment that we made in spring. So now it you don't have to take steps backwards. You're taking steps forward. And with a guy like Fitz, I think we both have a good feel of leverages. If the DB's high, I'm not going to continue to run high. I'm going to cut it off. If he's low, I'm going to take it high. Little things like that. I think that comes with two smart football players, but also a quarterback has been around a lot, and he does a good job of explaining it. So there's some things that he's been around and you may not have ever thought of, and then he gives you that adjustment, and it just makes all the sense in the world. So I think you can put a price on that experience, and we just got to continue to get better. I think we had a really good first day, but there's going to be some things on the film that we need to get better at, and I'm excited to see how we progress as a whole offense. No problem. Thanks.
Working on since I probably want to say April. We've been in constant communication. It was a tough negotiation, but at the end of the day, both sides wanted to get a deal done, and I'm glad we were able to do it before training camp. So I'm ecstatic, I'm happy, and I'm ready to play some football.
And what was that like? That moment you signed, what did you do to celebrate? I know you were maybe here, but what was that like?
It was just a sense of relief. Now I can just get back to focusing on football. I don't have to worry about the contract. I can just go out there and do what I've always done.
What was it like to go through this for the first time? Because it seemed like there were some swings here, and I'm just curious what that was like for you.
As far as what?
Swings in the negotiations and looking like it might go this way, looking like it might go that way, and then it goes this way. What was it like?
It's tough because that's not something that I've never done before. And whenever a player goes through their first negotiation, it's their first time, and it's going to be emotional. I don't care what anybody says. I know they say it's not emotional, it's just business. But this is life-changing money, and it changes your future, immediate and down the road. So it's definitely emotional and personal, but I'm just glad we were able to come to an agreement, get both sides happy. Both sides got what they wanted.
It did get done, so this is kind of a hypothetical, but if it hadn't, were you a little bit worried about that lingering over you as you started camp and going into the season?
If we didn't get a deal done, that's really not something I can focus on. I would have to focus on going out there playing the best football I can and what I got to do to put myself in a position to possibly sign a deal in the season or next year. But luckily, we don't have to go down that road. Like I said, both parties are happy. Both parties got what they wanted. And, I'm excited. I'm super excited.
Jonathan, I'll ask the vaccination question. Curious of your status and kind of what are the conversations like with teammates of whether it's persuading or kind of talking to them about getting vaccinated?
I don't think there's any persuasion going on. I think you just give them the facts, and everyone has the ability to make their own decision. You can't make a man do or not do anything he doesn't want to do or anything he wants to do, stop him from doing it. So that's up to the individual player, and yeah.
Hi, Jonathan. I just want to ask about the new contract. Does it provide? Does it mean anything special to you that you're a native from the area and you kind of stay with your team?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, one of my goals since coming in the NFL is to play my entire career with one team. And even though this contract doesn't mean I'll be able to play my entire career here, it does make it more of a reality, and it creates more security for me and my family long term. We know we're going to be here. We know we're going to have financial security for the rest of our lives, and that means a lot, you know, but pressure's still there. The pressure to live up to the contract's still there, and I'm still as hungry as ever.
Just touched on this, but like, what does that long-term stability kind of mean for you going forward?
It means a lot. It means a lot more for my family and me, and knowing that we're going to be here.
Hi, John. Does the success you guys had on defense last year, does it add more pressure? And where do you feel the ceiling is for you guys as a whole?
I want to say it adds more pressure. I feel like nobody can put more pressure on us than we do. So, I mean, the biggest thing with having success as a defense last year is not coming into this year expecting to duplicate that without putting in the same amount of work. You know what I mean? So we got to come into this season and understand that we're starting from the bottom. We haven't done anything this season. We have to go out there and play good, play hard, and build a solid base.
And I know it's early, pads haven't come on yet, but are you able to notice any difference just coming in year two, having that season under your belt with these guys with the same four on the line?
I mean, 100%. You know, when we first came together last year, it was in the middle of COVID. Didn't really have a real training camp because we had to ramp up because we didn't have OTAs. So just having more time under tension with the guys, having more time to pass rush with them, work with them. I mean, you definitely have that sense of familiarity, but, I mean, we still got to start from the bottom every camp.
Hey, John, congratulations on the contract.